2 games, $500,000, a playoff push hanging in the balance. That's the blunt reality facing the Pittsburgh Steelers and DK Metcalf after the NFL announced a 2-game suspension for Metcalf following his sideline altercation with a fan during Week 16 in Detroit. He's expected to appeal, and he should, but for now, the league's decision is in effect, and the ripple effects are immediate. Here's everything that matters, told Clean and Direct. What happened? Late in the second quarter at Ford Field, with the Lions' offense on the field, cameras captured Metcalf approaching a fan in the front row. Words were exchanged. Metcalf balled his right hand into a fist, stepped forward, and appeared to throw a punch toward the fan's head. The broadcast angle didn't capture the full context. The hit's exact contact remained unclear. Officials on the field did not see the incident, so no flag, no ejection, no in-game discipline. The fan was later ejected from the stadium. Why the league suspended him? The NFL's player conduct policy is explicit. Players may not enter the stands or confront fans, and any unnecessary physical contact with a fan that presents crowd control issues or a risk of injury is punishable. The league cited that policy in announcing Metcalf's 2-game ban. The practical takeaway, whether or not provocation occurs, physical retaliation by a player toward a spectator is treated as a major violation. The financial hit. Metcalf stands to lose $270,778 per game in pay, roughly $555,556 total if both games are served. That's the on-paper immediate consequence. The long-term cost could be reputational and possibly affect future contract leverage or endorsements, depending on the outcome of appeals and the noise that follows. What's the fans' side? The Detroit Free Press identified the spectator as Ryan Kennedy. Kennedy's attorney released a formal denial of allegations that he used racial slurs or any hate-based language during the exchange. Kennedy's legal team called such claims completely false. Meanwhile, reporting from NFL Network sources indicates there were allegations the fan used a racial slur targeted at Metcalf's mother and uttered a phrase, "You don't call a black man," but those remain contested points. At least 2 conflicting accounts now exist. Metcalf's camp and certain sources alleging severe provocation, and the fan's attorney resolutely denying it. Metcalf's history with the fan. Per reporting, the two have a prior interaction. Metcalf reportedly reported the same individual to NFL security in 2024 during a previous visit to Ford Field. That history complicates the narrative but does not change the rule. Players are expected to avoid escalating confrontations and instead rely on stadium security and league processes. What the Steelers are facing on the field. Metcalf will miss the final 2 regular season games, crucial matchups in the AFC North race. The Steelers currently sit atop the division. These are not throwaway contests. Losing Metcalf removes a physical vertical threat and a veteran catch machine from the offense. It shifts play-calling emphasis and forces route distribution changes. Expect increased targets for DK's replacements in the rotation, strategic adjustments to exploit mismatches elsewhere, and a heavier reliance on the running game and short to intermediate passing, the parts of the offense that control the clock and reduce sudden turnover risk. Who steps up? Pittsburgh's depth chart includes receivers and tight ends capable of filling snaps, but Metcalf is a unique athlete. Contested catches, sideline grabs, and downfield separation. The staff will likely try to replicate his impact through motion, double-teaming other defenders, and scheming quick RPOs to manufacture chunk yardage. Matchups matter. The opposing secondary in those 2 games will be studied and attacked where vulnerable. 2 games is long enough for a cohesive plan to be built and for other players to earn roles, but short enough that a team can still feel the absence if the scheme can't replicate Metcalf's contested play upside. The appeal. Metcalf is expected to appeal, which is standard. Appeals can delay the suspension while the league and player present evidence. If an appeal is successful, the suspension could be reduced or rescinded. Historically, appeals sometimes budge on fines and procedural matters, but are less likely to overturn suspensions tied to clear physical contact. Metcalf's legal and PR teams will press on 2 fronts: factual context, what was said, prior provocation, whether the punch connected, and proportionality, was a 2-game ban the correct penalty relative to precedent. The league will weigh video, witness statements, security logs, and historical comparators. Precedent: the NFL has punished players in the past for entering the stands or contacting fans. Sanctions have ranged from fines to multi-game suspensions depending on severity and injury risk. The league's posture is consistent: deter on-field retaliation, protect fan safety, and remove ambiguity about player conduct. That makes Metcalf's case a tough sell for a total reversal. The visual evidence of a player swinging at a spectator, even if not conclusively connecting, as typically drives decisive action from the commissioner's office. The PR and cultural layer, beyond policy, this is a public relations moment. Metcalf is a high-profile player with national visibility. Headlines about punching a fan do not stay confined to sports pages. If allegations that the fan used racist language are substantiated, the narrative shifts toward provocation and the emotional calculus of a black player reacting to a racial slur, a serious societal issue. If the fan's denials hold up, the story is framed as an unjustified assault on a spectator. Either way, the conversation will touch on fan behavior, stadium security effectiveness, racial dynamics, and expectations of athlete conduct in the age of viral camera angles. What this means for the Steelers season. Pragmatically, Pittsburgh can still lock up the AFC North without Metcalf, but it raises the margin for error. 2 weeks is long enough for momentum to swing. The team's play callers, personnel groupings, and game planning must absorb this loss cleanly. If the Steelers can replace lost production with disciplined game control, run-first drives, high-percentage passing, and complementary special teams, they can blunt the impact. If opponent matchups expose the receivers' core's limitations, the loss becomes tangible in close late-game situations. What to watch next? First, the appeal timeline. If Metcalf's appeal secures a stay, he might play the remaining regular season games and then serve suspension in the postseason if upheld. If the suspension is enforced immediately and the appeal fails, he misses those crucial regular season showdowns. Second, league findings and any new evidence about what the fans said that will reshape public sentiment and possibly influence future disciplinary outcomes. Third, how Mike Tomlin and the Steelers publicly and privately manage the roster and narrative. Disciplined responses, clarity about replacements, and visible confidence in the system will help steady teammates and the fan base. Bottom line, the NFL drew a line. Physical contact with spectators will be punished swiftly and visibly. DK Metcalf's 2-game suspension is the immediate enforcement of that line. The human elements, alleged provocation, prior history with the fan motion of competition, complicate the moral story, but don't erase the policy. For Pittsburgh, the clock moves on. Preparation, adaptation, and execution will determine whether the team's postseason window stays open, with or without Metcalf on the field. Pittsburgh, the NFL has suspended Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver DK Metcalf for 2 games following a sideline altercation with a fan during the team's 29-24 Week 16 win at Detroit, the league announced Monday. Metcalf is expected to appeal, but the suspension, if upheld, will cost him roughly $277,778 per game, a total of just over $555,000